Hey everyone, how's it going? We're back for some more VLR, and let's see where we left off. Okay, so we just did the laboratory, and we're going to go down these paths here. Get back into it.
There's something... Nah, I guess there's a couple of things I want to double check. Well, one of them's not really significant, I guess.
Huh?
First off, this machine. We didn't even end up using this thing, did we?
Yeah.
I was just wondering what it was.
Well, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to answer that. Look inside here. There's a name or something. IG Replicator.
Replicator makes it sound like it makes copies of stuff.
Feels like a copy machine.
Yeah. Probably copies IG, whatever that is. Who
Any
knows?
ideas?
Ice cream by the gallon?
Of course. This machine must be here so we can just make all the ice cream we want. Are you crazy? You're one idiotic girl, you know that? In other words,
Oh,
IG.
good one.
Hey, this isn't the time for stupid jokes. There's a helpless child back there in the infirmary who needs our help.
He was right, of course. I hung my head in shame.
At any rate, as long as we don't know what IG means, we can't do anything with this machine, right?
That's right.
Makes sense. On to the second issue. Sigma, you found a journal and some sort of vial in the safe, right?
Yeah.
The vial. Could you show it to me again? I didn't
Why?
really get a good look at it before. You guys were in there so close I could barely see it. Was it really Excelavir?
Yeah, definitely. As I spoke, I pulled the vial out of my pocket. See? It's right there on the label. Excelavir.
You really are an idiot.
Huh?
Although I guess in this case the G in IG stands for guy.
What? I don't... The words were barely out of my mouth when he moved. Before I could blink, the vial disappeared from my hand. Hey, what gives?
What are you doing?
Dio slipped the vial quickly into his coat.
Oh, don't worry. I'll keep it safe. I'll even give it back to you later.
No, not later. Give it back now.
I don't think so. If you want it back, you're gonna have to listen to my request.
Request?
Yeah, that's what I said. If you want this back, in the next AB game, you have to choose ally.
Ally? Wait, is that why you took the medicine? To blackmail me?
That's horrible. You're using Quark's life as leverage.
Well, I've got some really good reasons to do so. I'll be happy to give it back if you just do what I say.
I didn't realize until they started to hurt that I'd curled my hand in a fist. If Dio would only give me an opening.
I wouldn't try and take it back by force if I were you. You make any sudden moves and I'll smash it.
He patted his pocket gently.
Oh, and one more thing. Don't tell those other idiots that you found some Excelavir in here. I hear one word about it, and the next thing you hear will be little bits of glass shattering on the floor.
Damn it.
That's not fair.
This game isn't about compassion. It's not about being clever. It's about one thing. How well you can manipulate people to your advantage. How unfair you can be. So, what are you gonna do? Ready to promise me you'll pick ally?
Fine,
Sigma!
I promise.
Oh, I knew you'd say it eventually. I'm glad you understand how this works. But don't think about trying anything funny. Break your promise and... well, you know what happens. See you chumps later. I'm really looking forward to the next round.
With one last self-satisfied chuckle, Dio strutted out of the room.
Are you really going to do what he says?
Yeah.
Sigma, you've only got one BP right now. If we choose ally and he chooses betray...
I know. I'll drop to the -1 and that means I'll get penalized.
But that means...
Look, it's not like I want to, alright? If we don't do as he says, then he'll destroy the medicine. If he does that, then Quark will... well...
So you're going to die to save his life? That's... Why would you do that?
In all honesty, I was terrified. My choice was far from a foregone conclusion. Well, we should get back to the upper floor. Everybody else is probably finished already. I bet they're waiting for us. I didn't wait for Clover's response.
An ambidex gate has been opened. 45 minutes remain until ambidex game polling closes.
Sorry. I went ahead and cracked it open a bit early.
Dio. One of his hands was a moon key. He twirled it around like a veteran gambler, grinned, and slid it back into his pocket.
You don't mind, right? I figured you and Clover would get up here right away. Besides, I thought it'd be best to get this done soon before you lose your nerve. I don't know about you, I'm really looking forward to the next round.
I glanced around the warehouse. Alice and Kay were back. As was Phi. And of course Clover. Where are Ten Myoji and the rest of them?
They're in the infirmary.
We carried Quark to one of the beds. Ten Myoji and Luna are looking after him.
How's he doing?
Well, it's hard to say. He seems to be sleeping soundly, but beyond that, there's really no way to know.
No change then, huh?
Right. So what was your room, Sigma?
A laboratory.
So?
Did it look like the kind of place where they'd be researching viruses and DNA and those kinds of things?
Yeah,
Yes.
it did.
Was there any of that Excelavir?
Don't tell those other idiots that you found some Excelavir in here. I hear one word about it, and the next thing you hear will be little bits of glass shattering on the floor.
Nope. My eyes flicked Dio for a moment. No, nothing. Beside me, Clover bit her lip.
I see.
So how'd it go with you? Find anything interesting? I only shook her head. With a unison of movement that almost looked choreographed, Allison Kay shrugged.
Where does that leave us? We've still got about 40 minutes left until voting ends.
What are you gonna do?
I'm a little curious about that lab you found. I thought I might go take a peek at it.
I'll show you the way then.
That would be wonderful.
I think I'll go have a look at the room Alice Kay and Tenmyoji found. Never know. Maybe you missed something. Perhaps there's some Excelavir hidden somewhere in there.
Ugh. What a bastard.
Then I shall take you there.
What about you two? Where are you going?
Oh, I think I'll start by heading over to the infirmary to see how Quark's doing.
Then I will too.
Glad that's settled.
She nodded to Clover and they disappeared through the magenta door. Dio and Kay followed, a few footsteps behind.
Hold on. Show me that journal first. Dio told me about it. You wouldn't tell me anything about the lab except that you found a journal with, his words, some sort of bullshit language. You said you had it, so I was hoping I could take a look.
I dug the journal out of my pocket and handed it to Defy. She began to flip through the pages, her eyes quickly scanning each one.
This is Latin.
Latin? You mean you can read it?
Yeah, with time and a dictionary.
So in other words, no.
Pardon me for not being able to translate a dead language on the fly. This looks like some kind of research log. It's not gonna be some sort of, I took the dog for a walk today. It was nice kind of stuff. I can understand a little of it, mostly conjunctions and things like that. But most of these words I've never even seen before.
Defy started to leaf through the book again as she spoke. And suddenly she stopped.
Wait. I can read this one. Page 216. This isn't research notes. It looks like a personal entry.
What's it say?
Don't rush me. This is gonna take a minute. Interesting. All right, I think I got it. It looks like they're talking about Radical 6.
What? Why are they talking about that?
Not sure. Let me read it to you. Keep in mind I'm paraphrasing.
When the body is infected with Radical 6, the processing speed of the brain is reduced. If we assume the brain currently operates on a 1-to-1 basis with regards to time, Radical 6 reduces this to 1 to the square root of 1/6, or approximately 1 to 4 or 0.408. This means that for each second that passes outside, the patient feels that only roughly 0.4 seconds have passed inside. Therefore, when 1 second passed inside, approximately 2.5 seconds, or the square root of 6 seconds, have passed outside. In other words, when 10 seconds passes in the real world, a patient infected with Radical 6 would feel as if only 4 seconds had passed. This is why the virus has been termed Radical 6. Radical is another term for what is also known as the root operation, the function inverse to the taking of a power. In a less mathematical sense, it can also be used to refer to something that is extreme or severe. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide. The exact cause of this is unclear. And although there is as of yet no direct link between suicidal urges and the reduction in mental processing speed, many believe that they are not unrelated. Those infected with Radical 6 perceive the world to be moving at a fever pitch, as if it were a video cassette being fast forwarded. For instance, although the patient believes that only 10 seconds have passed, in fact 24.5 seconds have passed. Given this increased speed of input, maintaining the ability to observe and reason would become a Herculean task. One theory holds that the disparity in time perception causes the brain to be flooded with massive amounts of information. Unable to keep up, it begins to fail. Whatever the cause, the infected invariably attempt to take their own lives, which is arguably the most terrifying aspect of this virus. Research suggests that a targeted antiviral could kill, or at least disable, Radical 6, but we've been unable to develop one. Seems our best hope now is... Oops. Hold on. Research seems our best hope is to harvest antibodies from someone with a natural immunity to the virus. Thus far, we have been unable to locate a suitable subject, so I've continued my efforts to discover an alternative means of treatment. Given my current rate of progress, I predict that I will have a workable treatment within a decade or two. It is my fervent hope that humanity will be able to survive that long. The bodies of those dead from suicide are piled up along the roads leading into and out of town. The entire area reeks with the stench of decay, and the sky is filled with the constant buzzing of flies. At times, their swarms are so thick that when one passes, it feels as if a cloud has gone over the sun. Every day I see more crows, and rats are everywhere, feeding on the dead. Ironically, the only healthy-looking creatures are stray cats who have grown fat on a plentiful rodent diet. The few humans who survived the outbreak have been locked away by the government in underground shelters. I don't know how many were saved, but I fear only a handful. Their survival is the only hope that remains for the human race. Oh Lord, please, let their future be a bright one. Pretty dark. That's a lot of information. Now we know what the virus does to you, though. If you get infected, your brain slows down by the root of 1/6. That's what, about 40%?
That isn't the important part. Those infected by Radical 6 eventually develop a powerful urge to commit suicide.
Yeah, you're right. That would explain why Quark was, well, trying to kill himself.
There are two other things in here that worry me. First, the part about how they haven't managed to develop a treatment for it yet. What do you make of that?
What am I supposed to make of it? Maybe they just hadn't found one when this journal was written. I mean, from what we know, there's a drug called Excelavir that cures it.
Exactly. But in the journal it says it might take 20 years to make something like that.
Hold on a second. I'm getting confused. When was this thing even written?
December 29th. No year.
Well, there's no way it was written this year.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, moving on. The second concern I have is about the underground shelters it mentions. The newspaper article said something about quarantining people too. After we read it, we all thought the same thing. What if this was one of those quarantine facilities? But this journal seems to suggest the opposite. The few humans who survived the outbreak have been locked away by the government in underground shelters.
You're trying to say that this place might be one of those underground shelters? Which would mean we're all supposed to be uninfected. We would have been thrown in here to keep us safe.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way to say for sure at this point, but it seems possible.
But Quark's been infected, right?
Then maybe the virus got in somehow.
That would be
Just
bad.
think about it for a minute. If this is one of those shelters, a lot of things start to make sense. Maybe we've been here for a long time. Like, maybe they put us to sleep somehow. Made us sleep for years, maybe even decades. While we were sleeping, the pandemic that the newspaper article talked about happened, and whoever had this journal made this entry.
And then once the antiviral treatment was finished, they woke us up.
Right. It's all just speculation, but...
No. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it seems like a pretty plausible scenario, but... We were all captured before the pandemic started, right?
yeah.
And how would they have put us to sleep for that long? How would they have known to do that? But most importantly, why the hell are we playing the Milner game if the point of this place is to save us? Throwing a bunch of people into a game that might kill them is a pretty weird way to protect them from a pandemic.
Yeah, you're right.
See? Sorry, 1 second. Alright.
We don't have enough information to make any real conclusions. I think we should see if we can find anything else.
I better finish speaking before she took off for the magenta door. Hey, weren't you coming to the infirmary with me?
I've changed my mind. You can tell me about Quark later.
And with that, she was gone. I let out a long, tired sigh and started off toward the infirmary. How's he doing?
He seems to be stable, as far as I can tell.
Still sleeping.
I see. Mind if I have a look?
Please, go ahead.
Made my way around petition to the side of Quark's bed. The journal and the thing Pi and I had talked about would definitely need to be addressed, but for the moment the AB game was what I needed to concentrate on. Lives were at stake, mine, and Quark's. Those affected by risk and my power urge to commit suicide. The journal was telling the truth, that as soon as the anesthetic wore off, Quark would go insane again. What if we weren't able to restrain him a second time? What if he managed to kill himself before we got to him? Or perhaps you just get out of the infirmary and go hide somewhere. the other hand, it wasn't like we could keep anesthetizing him forever. There's only one way. There's only one way that was with Excelvier. Fortunately, Dio had stolen one. If we wanted to get it back, Clover and I would have to vote Ally. If I did, there's an excellent chance I would end up dead. Question was then what to do. Sacrifice myself to save Quark? Keep quiet about the danger he was in to save myself.
Grandpa.
He shifted a little, then fell silent again. It was enough, though. What on earth had I been thinking? How could I have even considered letting a child die in my place? Suddenly, my cheeks felt hot with embarrassment and disgust. That I had considered letting Quark die even for a minute was pathetic. There was only one choice. There had only ever been one choice. No way was I going to leave Quark to die. My hands tightened in the fist as I looked down at him. Any uncertainty I had felt before was gone. I knew what I had to do. Oh.
10 minutes remain until Ambidex game polling closes. All players, please enter your votes. If no vote is recorded before the deadline has passed, any non-voting parties will automatically ally.
Looks like it's almost time. You two should head back.
What about you?
Not going. I'm worried about Quark.
But you're a solo. If you don't vote...
I'll automatically ally. I know. I heard the voice on the intercom just like you.
What are you going to do if Kay and Alice vote betray?
Nothing, I suppose. Just means I lost that round. I'd just be voting ally anyway. You know who my opponents are, right? Alice only has one BP left. If I pick betray and they chose ally, I'd kill her. I'm not so desperate to escape that I'm gonna kill someone for it. And even if I was, I can't leave Quark behind. You see? Doesn't matter if I go into the AB room or not. My vote's the same either way.
Tenmyoji's mind was made up. Trying to persuade him to leave would have been pointless. Alright. Take care of Quark.
Of course. You worry about yourself.
Okay.
Let's go. Lou and I headed out of the infirmary, leaving Tenmyoji and Quark behind. When we got to the warehouse, we found everyone else waiting for us. Well, not quite everyone. One other person was missing. Hey, where's Dio?
Take a look at the doors.
They're all closed. When we came in here before, the one on the far right was open.
And that would mean...